Hello and welcome to our off-track Tuesday episode, which is now a Monday episode. And either way, it still has no name. That seems so very us, Tim. It seems so very us to have a Tuesday episode that's nameless and then actually release it on Mondays.
At least we're back in form with not having Alex here.
Right. So we may not have the name, the correct or consistent date, all of our hosts, but at least we got up early this morning to record on a new software that didn't work. So we're back doing it again at the end of the day. Thank God that I wasn't on air for 5 hours and you weren't throwing up from food poisoning all day.
Yeah, we're thriving. We're like my entire day or our entire weekend, I feel like could be summed up by Doc Holliday and Tombstone. I'm in my prime. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been a thing.
By the way, great job this weekend.
Thanks, man. Thanks. We got through it. If you're listening to this, hopefully on a Monday, watching it, hopefully on a Wednesday or whatever however that works.
Tuesday.
Oh, the video comes out Tuesday. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it is still kind of a Tuesday episode. Yeah. Hopefully you were watching qualifying weekend. PPG presents Armed Forces qualifying weekend for the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge coming up on May 26th on NBC, on WNBC. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
It's been a weekend.
Dude, here's the thing. I don't drink coffee. And I think what happens is I go into like a energy deficit and then my brain like triggers something and then it just like you spike up and it sounds like I've had coffee and a Red Bull and it's just not true. But anyway, yes, that reminds me to remind you that we are on YouTube. Go like and subscribe and watch everything that you listen to on the podcast. Watch it again on YouTube.
Yeah. Don't do anything instead of. Just add things to your schedule.
Normally, we wouldn't take too much time to talk about our own stuff because this is, of course, 100 Days to Indie recap episode for episode number 4, and we save that for the main show on Thursdays. But I feel like I need to ask, are you okay? Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good, I think. I don't know. I got the red eye out tonight, so at least I don't have to do that. So we can see everybody at our live show tomorrow. Unless I'm sick, and then which case, like,
I was gonna say it's a pretty big, like, you're just taking a leap of faith here that you're good now. Like you just puked a little bit, and the plane ride overnight tonight is not gonna be bad.
There's nothing left to throw up, so I think. There might be something. I mean, why would they put those bags in every chair if they didn't expect somebody to use them?
Have you ever had to use one of those?
No. Have you?
No. I really don't.
So let's try it. Let's try it.
No.
I'm excited now. I get a new experience. Okay. Hell of an episode.
Was a hell of an episode. I want to just give you guys a bit of a preface because I do have some insider knowledge on how this works because I'm involved in the show. Humble brag, I know. But no,
was it humble?
There's a comment I want to make, but I'm just not gonna. This episode was not supposed to be about any of this stuff at all. Like the Barber News just dropped a grenade onto the producers of this show. And look, we talked about this in, I don't know if it was last episode or the one before, about how like the format of doing this show is a bit different. It comes out like kind of in time compared to like a Full Swing or a Drive to Survive that's filmed for a year and then takes 6 months to edit and release. You can build your stories. The producers of this show, they kind of have their stories roughly laid out for like episode 1 is these 2 drivers. Episode 2 is these 2 drivers in this race. Episode 3 is these 2 drivers in this race. And they had a plan for episode 4 and then the Barber News broke and it just destroyed that plan. So it became about Alex's favorite topic, the Penske scandal. Probably good he's not here, actually.
I think he would agree.
Yeah, I don't think he would have contributed much to this. It would have been like, man, I'm just sick of talking about it. Okay. Well, you don't have to. But yeah, I mean, kicked off right away with Joseph's press conference, which was, I thought, captured pretty well.
And we talked about it, when we recorded this earlier today. You have to constantly remind yourself when we watch this, like, yeah, we're tired of hearing about this, but you and I are the audience.
Right.
Like, the people that listen to our podcast are probably not the audience. Like,
Right.
this is supposed to be for people who are not
New to the
really
sport.
into IndyCar. Yeah, they're getting. So this is, and I thought if you viewed it in that regard, like, yeah, a half episode is probably the amount of time they should have taken on that. Like,
For sure.
hey, here's why it's unprecedented. You did a really good job of explaining a complicated issue.
Thank you.
And then here's the race. Wow, here are the Shank guys taking it in a bus, and then here's the race.
A lot of pooping with the Shank guys was
Yeah.
featured in this restaurant. We'll get to that. We'll get to that though. Because I just want, so like I said, I thought they captured the press conference well. Obviously, the press conference was like half an hour long, so trying to find the right sound bites that tell the story without going too much into detail, I thought was good. And then I loved, frankly, all the driver reactions that they threw in, and just really highlighting how no drivers bought it. Nobody
Yeah.
were on par or on the same page as them. Certain drivers being pretty. It was funny, the ones that were like angry and disagreeing with it, and the ones that were disagreeing with it but kind of laughing about it. Like Colton seemed pissed. Below was like, yeah, no, of course not. Of course I don't. Of course I don't buy that. And it's just like, it's just a funny sort of like juxtaposition between how everybody sort of approached it. I thought that part was pretty funny.
Well, and I get why Colton was pissed. I mean, he was passed in that circumstance, right?
He was. And I think there was
and
also
so-
some more backstory specifically involving him and Joseph that made that a little worse, but for another time. But yeah, I mean, look, I get it. And it's one of those things where we've said this 100 times now on the main show. Nobody cares that that somebody broke the rules. Everybody does it. It was the way it was handled afterwards. And so I thought they captured that pretty well.
And I was blown away again, just being reminded at how poorly the aftermath was handled.
It's shocking. It's like this should be a case study in crisis management, what not to do.
Yeah.
Which was
How to not get away with murder.
Right, exactly. Exactly. The other part that I thought was funny was that Pato was kind of expecting, or like they showed Pato bringing his second place trophy to Barber to be like, yeah, hey, if Joseph wants to swap, like technically that's my trophy he's got. I was going to give this to Colton. And at that point, it hadn't been done.
Yeah. And then I thought even that was handled really badly. I saw Nathan Brown was tweeted about it. It was like the Penske guys just came and dropped it off at McLaren.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I think it was like at hospitality or something at a race, and just told them after the fact that it was there. Like no coordinated handoff, no nothing, just like, boom, here it is. And I get that they're not going to do a big thing. And
Yeah,
maybe
they're
they
not
didn't
gonna
want
draw attention to it, right? Like it's not going to do like Pato and Joseph in a room high-fiving as they hand off the trophy. Like that's not.
And maybe they were worried that McLaren was going to have somebody there to get a video of it happening, or maybe something like that. Which, you know what, maybe they would have. But like, I don't know. It felt like it could have been handled a lot better.
Yeah, that seems a little cold, doesn't it? But also par for the course for the whole thing, to be honest. So
yeah,
fair enough. I'm glad Pato's got his trophy, and
yeah,
it'd be fun to see. Did he he should have like posted a picture of it or something. He should have.
I think it's just done. Everybody's done with it.
Everybody's super done with it. That is true.
I I will say, and again, I know it's easy for Will to come out of this best because he didn't hit the button, because I think we can put to rest this idea that some people had online that Will didn't do it because he was like honorable. I think Will just didn't know. Like, because he even made that point when he was talking to some of the drivers. He's like, if it was me, I'd have been out here like, oh, you would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah. That was funny. That was funny.
But man, he comes out of it so well. And I said this earlier, like, if willpower started a cult, I'm not saying that I would join, but like I'd think about it.
You'd
like,
understand why other people would join.
Yeah, I would not hold it against anybody. Just when he was like self-reflectively talking about his little spat with Dixon last year and going through, hey, here's the mindset I was in, here's the personal stuff that I was going through, and like it was giving an explanation but not an excuse, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Weird that you tie that to cult leader traits, but okay.
Well, it was just like, man, okay, this guy seems to have figured out. Like, he knows how to like personally look inward, and he's got some zen about him that I was like, I could see it. I could, like, if he was like, I know the answers, I'd be like, well, hear him out.
Yeah. He's definitely more philosophical than your average athlete. And I do respect that about him for sure. And actually, like, in that whole thing, I really loved, and again, this is part of what the show is all about, right? If you're a fan of IndyCar racing or like any sport, really, you see the athlete performing on track, field, court, rink, whatever sport you're watching. And that's kind of what you see of them. Maybe you get an interview 30 seconds post event and it's in the moment, whatever. You don't learn a lot about the people, and you learn nothing about their backgrounds, their lives, the other people in their lives. And so what I love about this show is when we do spend time with families, with spouses, whatever. And I just got to throw it out there, like, Liz Power is the best. I just
She's
love
the
that
best.
person.
She's the best.
And her mom in this episode were just hilarious. And Becky and I were like, these two need their own show. Like, forget Will, forget IndyCar. 100%. You'd absolutely watch it. But
yeah, and so glad she's doing better health wise and bounce back. Like, I know that goes without saying, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway.
I like when you say things that don't need to be said.
Well, we got time to fill, and we've already done this once today.
But no, one of the things that I loved about it was her, her perspective on Will last season, right? She acknowledges that, yeah, hey, he was not in his best place. Everything that was happening at home with her, like, that stresses people out. Will admitting that is a big deal for, an athlete. And when she references that story about him and Dixon at Road America and warm up, and she's like, because you got to remember at this point, yeah, sure, people know there's things happening at home, but like, she's probably the only person in the world that truly understands what headspace Will is in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And she's sitting there watching, like, knowing he's not well. It was an accident that was not caused by him. He gets out of the car. She can read the body language, and she's just like, don't do it, Will. Don't do it, Will. Don't do it, Will. And she could just see that he wasn't himself. And hearing that side of it is such a cool thing, even for someone that, knows these people and knows the spouses and all that stuff. It's still nice to get that insight and hear them kind of be open about it.
Yeah. I mean, it is nice to see that Will Power has like the solid support system of his wife, Liz, and Flavor Flav.
Right. So it's a great point. I am still convinced, and we did say this earlier, and I'll say it again. I'm still convinced that, like, one of the producers in the show was sitting there talking with Will, just kind of like maybe shooting the shit about life, and brought up the fact that Will met Flavor Flav at Detroit last year. And Flav was like, oh, I'm a big Will Power fan. Like, we didn't know he was an IndyCar fan. Apparently he's a Will Power fan. And they were like, hey, man, do you have his phone number? I was like, yeah. Do you mind just calling him for no reason on a Friday afternoon? Oh, okay. And he just FaceTimes him. And I think you made the point. Go ahead. Make the point.
I was going to point out, which almost certainly was the case, right? Because he did just answer. He was at home wearing that clock around his, like, he had the necklace with the clock on. I'm like 90% sure he did, or I just see Flavor Flav and like my mind implants it on him. But like, he had it on.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit confused. You thought that Flav would ever just be like walking around without it.
Well, it's like when we made that video years ago of like you guys in the off season, and the joke was that you were just always in helmet and fire suit. Like, it's like that.
I imagine that he has like the one, or like the collection that he rotates through during the day, right? That for his days, his Mondays, Tuesdays, his Wednesdays. But then I also imagine he has like a stuffed one for bed. I imagine that he's got like one for the shower that like has some soap and maybe a holder for some shampoo or body gel or something.
Dispenser on it.
Yeah. So it's just all there. I assume he is wearing one of those in some iteration at all times.
Yeah, I mean, had I not just seen this episode, I would have thought no. But now that I know that that's just what he's wearing around at home on a casual Friday afternoon,
hanging out with the grandkids. hanging out with the 11 grandkids. He's just wearing the clock.
8 kids, 11 grandkids. I love that. Will's just dry humor of sounds expensive.
I don't think he's wrong. Sounds very expensive.
No.
But yeah, I love, like, I had no idea those two were on FaceTime each other on random Friday terms, and I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that whatever it was Patrick or Keith, one of the producers, the director or whatever, decided to just like poke him and be like, "Hey man, you want to give Flavor Flav a call for us right now?" All right.
It also feels like a complete willpower thing to be like, yeah. Like, sure.
So then, it covers the race. We know how the race went. Very impressive from Scott, from Will, from those guys to kind of rebound from what happened. It's kind of cool part of the story. Like, again, if you're just watching this as a casual, like reality TV fan rather than a diehard IndyCar fan, it's a cool kind of redemption story, right? These guys go through this issue and then whatever. But yeah, let's go back to an issue you brought up a little earlier, which is just
the bus gate.
A lot of poop.
Yeah. And like, okay, had it been that they were in the bus with the Penske guys, whom we've been with the entire episode, and they happened to be talking about needing to, go number 2 in a racetrack, I'd be like, okay, feels a little weird to bring up, but I guess we're here with them. But the fact that they went to the Shank guys just for that.
We never saw them again in the episode. Like, they did not feature in the episode at all. And
we don't know whose bus it was. We don't know why they were all in the bus together.
This is what I don't understand. Whose bus is that they're all just hanging out in? Like, you brought up the point this morning, the first time we recorded this, that like normally like a driver's bus is their space, right? And like,
yeah.
There's one place you're going to go to get away from everybody else. It's not saying that you don't like having friends on your bus or like that your competitors aren't your friends, but like during a race weekend, that's your escape. They were all there. Elio was there. Felix was there. Mike was there.
Team owners there. Yeah.
It's like they're having some serious meeting. And then, but like whoever's bus it is, there's clearly some understanding and agreement that like you're allowed to poop in there.
And which, again, we covered this at length. Like, one, I don't go on anybody's bus without permission, right? It's I'm going to text even Alex, like I'm going to text Alex, or if Alex is doing track stuff, I'm going to text Kelly and make sure that there's like an invite before you go on, because you treat the bus like it's somebody's home. I used to break that rule more than I do now.
Invite, you treat other people's homes also like your home. Correct. A lot. So that's not a great differentiator.
Here's why. Because the bus, one, it does, I think it should have the privacy and sanctity of like your house, but it's a lot smaller, right? Like if I'm going to your house, I might make myself at home in the living room or the kitchen where there's some space. I've never been in your bedroom. I don't know what your closet looks like.
True.
One time Alex showed me his closet because he wanted to show me when he first got the house, how it looked. Never been in there again. Have no intention. Like I respect the privacy of those areas. For the bus, I extended to the entirety of the bus. So the idea of on somebody's bus is
you've definitely
shocking
my house, but you're saying you've never on my bus.
I never on your bus, never on Alex, never on Marco's. I've done a lot worse in your house.
Oh my God, you've done some terrible things.
We're
still cleaning up.
There was a bedroom I've been in your house. I stayed there once. It's no longer a bedroom.
Correct.
Hard not to take that personally. You're like, well, Tim slept in that bed. It's gone now.
Tim, if you had just slept in the bed would still be there. That bedroom is no longer that room's a biohazard. It's no longer occupiable by humans. I don't want to get sued.
By the way, who hasn't done terrible things in your house in the IndyCar paddock?
Look, my house has been a bit of a hotel for the vagrants of IndyCar. That is true. And you know what? I'm happy to serve that.
Connor Daly live in your house, okay? Whatever sanctity that once had, that area once had, is gone.
And all of those mattresses have been burned.
If your body is a temple, my body is your house.
Nice. Yeah.
But no, I would never in a bus, because the proximity of the bathroom to the bedroom to the kitchen to the casual area is entirely too much. Well, I don't even like peeing in people's bus because I know you can hear through that wall.
Yeah, but like you don't have stage fright, so like whatever, everybody pees, everybody poops, but like I appreciate your approach. Honestly, like I respect your approach to this. And like I don't respect a lot about you. And
No, that's fair. Yeah, no,
I
you're very vocal about it.
actively talk quite poorly about you, both to other people behind your back and to you face to face.
Sometimes when you talk behind my back, you will then catalog what you said and text it to me just so I didn't miss it. Yeah. And
Sometimes
I don't love it.
technically you're like not in my conversation, but you're in the room and I'll raise my voice to make sure you hear this particular comment, which is
it's noted. I've noticed.
To you.
I don't love it.
But in this case, I respect and appreciate your approach. So again, the mystery of the bus we have to solve at some point. Whose bus is it? What's like the understanding on the bus? But the fact that, because like the vibe is clearly that you're sitting there talking to Mike, Felix, whoever, Elio, and Tom just doesn't know there's anything going on in there. He has no idea the film crew's in there, but he had clearly committed to coming in to go poop.
Yeah.
And so he walks in, he's like, oh, whole film crew. Hey, this is our bus, the place where we all agreed we could poop. I'm just going to slowly walk this way and hope you get the hint that it's time for me to poop and we don't want you here. And he dances his way to the bathroom and nobody moves.
Nobody, not a soul.
That guy had to poop on camera, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. And those are thin walls.
Bus walls are not thick. Bus doors, not thick
in
the bathroom. Mm-mm.
I'm just trying to, like, I mean, you've raced for quite a few teams. Imagine just being like walking onto Michael's bus. Like, hey, just
hey, boss. I'm just going to go drop 2 tenths real quick and then I'll be out of your hair in no time, you know? I don't get it. I don't, because again, like if that's Elio's bus and the agreement is the drivers are just allowed to go on there and poop, first of all, great team boss. Well done, Elio. That's very kind of you.
Which wouldn't be the weirdest Elio poop story on this podcast. If you remember last year's Carb Day live show.
How did you remember? I totally forgot about that.
I have thought about that every day since.
Guys, make sure you go back.
Live show from Carb Day last year to get
what
we're talking about.
Listen to last year's Carb Day live show.
And join us for Carb Day show this year to find out what other drivers may have their fire suits.
Nice segue, Tim. So yeah, that was the last part on the episode we wanted to talk about. I feel bad for Tom. He got cornered into pooping on TV, which I feel bad about. But yes, another great episode. 2 to go. We're gonna cover, I guess, the GP / qualifying in one, and then the 500 in another. I don't know how it's going to work, but appreciate you guys watching and following along here with us. We do have our live show happening probably right now as you're listening, if you're listening on a Monday, at the track. But then we have a Carb Day live show that's open to the public. It's open forum. SiriusXM is helping us host that one. We're very excited about it. It's going to be in between practice and the pit stop competition in... Well, I don't want to say exactly where. If it's the same place as last year, it's kind of like around Pagoda Plaza, but don't quote me.
There will be signage. It'll be the Sirius XM tent. You'll see it.
Look, if you listen to this, you follow at least one of us on some social media. And once it's all planned out, we will certainly let you know.
And 2 of us will probably post about it.
And 2 of us will probably be there. Good chance we won't have the entire trio, but we might have some fun special guests.
Why is he busy that weekend?
He's got a thing. He's washing his hair, and we know he doesn't wash his hair. But yes, we will see you guys on Carb Day. If we don't see you on Monday, listen to our podcast on Thursday to hear all about qualifying. Alex, I mean, yeah, this morning we hadn't done it yet. Now we've done it. We can talk about it. You put up a great effort. Best of the rest behind the Penske's. So yeah, excited to hear his breakdown of it. Haven't talked to him yet. So make sure you check in on Tuesday for that. Follow and subscribe and like on whatever app you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. What?
Check it out on Thursday, because that'll be the main episode. He said Tuesday.
Oh, sorry, I meant Thursday. Well,
that's all right.
Whatever. Check out everything. I don't know, man.
Let's do this. Let's start from the top. Let's do this. Third time's the charm.
Start again. Yeah. Well, that's what's going to be great.